So, Joe, what's going on? Hello, Joe.
Oh, putting my socks on, trying to get my day going.
Man, one step at a time. You know, you know what?
It's not much, but it's an honest living.
I find getting hit in the back of the head with a 9 iron usually gets my day going pretty good.
Me too. So,
So, based off our last video, I need to keep the conversation going. Um,
oh, we're talking about military.
and some fun stuff, crazy stuff. Try to keep diamond people out, blue falconing people out to a minimum here, though.
We left on the. What would you do? I think we left on the last prank was what would you do for $1,000?
Yeah, and the shaft.
The shaft, yes.
Oh. So yeah, I was trying to think since last time, like if I ever, I don't think I was even ever nominated for the Shaft. Uh,
Uh, Funny nominations though. I mean, remember I will leave this certain person nameless. Um, I got nominated for saying they said that I wore my Kevlar backwards.
and did
So,
you?
and no, it's impossible to wear it backwards, especially the ACHs.
Yeah, I just see this drop all up on your nose.
Like, sometimes people are reaching. Like, just so the shaft didn't have to leave me, they made up crap. I remember getting Sergeant Word. I doubt he watches this. Where when I was in the arms room, they were doing weapons draw for patrol, and you remember Corporal Cabaday.
Yeah,
And I remember Corporal Cabaret was to the right and Sergeant Word was on the left. And I was giving Sergeant Word his 9 millimeter. And he goes, he looks in Corporal Cabaday's eyes and goes, "Man, no thank you. Um, you have some really beautiful eyes. And if you didn't think I put that away till Friday nominations,
it was pretty honest comment.
so Sergeant Word did held the shaft for a week, but I think immediately returned to me on some bullshit. Like he laces his boots left over right, not right over left.
He moans when he poops. Uh, Daddy.
Easy killer.
It's our word, and when you're actually talking to him, he's a good dude. Um, he was a good dude, but remember we were getting ready to, we were forming up to go out on the road. You were the NCO on duty, and me, Rocky, Leach, and the rest of the squad. I forget who else was there, but we're standing there. We're kind of laughing, joking a little bit. He comes out. He's like, "Stop joking. This is how people die in war." Leach immediately starts cracking the fuck up. Like he's like, "Get the fuck out of here." He's like, you were in Italy your entire career. You don't know shit." I was like, "Bro, chill out. Don't go for
No,
the fatality."
if you y'all watching don't realize, we had a staff sergeant who was never deployed and said some obscene shit to people who have been deployed, and yeah, we're not gonna let that go. um, this Sergeant Word was the one who recommended me. That was his words, not mine. Recommended to me to go into the arms room. I was, if you don't recall, I was getting ready to clear the 411th getting ready because you remember Sergeant McCutcheon.
Yeah.
I was getting ready to go to SRT. I was trying to get on that SRT team for Fort Hood, the Army SWAT team.
Yeah.
Yeah, I started clearing the company, like, hey.
And it's like, nope.
And he was doing some sort of class, I think, like on convoy security or something. And a certain individual on this podcast, who will remain now nameless, piped up. So,
Oh,
and then there goes the SRT dreams, and I went to the arms room. I went.
it's weird. Like, there's sometimes where you could tell they probably meant well. You know what I mean? They recommend somebody for something because they genuinely mean well, not realizing that it screws up everything else they have
I
going on.
I don't think this meant well. I think this is brutal retaliation. At least that's how I perceived it, because you can't tell me all of a sudden my clearing papers just poof.
Disappear. Oh, I know. We've been. Not gonna mention anybody's name. How papers just end up going missing off somebody's desk, and you know, you're supposed to that individual soldier supposed to get promoted or something, and all of a sudden, like, oh, we lost your paperwork.
It's
Hey,
amazing how
Ben.
fast. Amazing how fast the army loses paperwork.
Oh yeah, like take them forever to shake your hand, but as soon as they lose something, it's quick, fast, and in a hurry. Sorry, one of the dogs decided to poop on the floor after she ate, you know, and poor thing's got worms, so I got to deal with that. But yeah, it's yeah, you will always have good leadership. You'll find out uh, who the good leaders are,
You
and you
do,
try to find them. Yeah, you try to stick with them, try to stay with those
and
leaders.
hope and pray you get under a good leader. Which I think for me and you, for our army careers, we had great leaders, especially in the deployed environment. Um, I want to
Yeah,
talk about a certain leader because I think you recall Sergeant First Class Ramos.
yes, they're in there. Unfortunately,
What's that?
unfortunately, I remember her for one specific reason.
Well, we'll get into that reason here momentarily. I remember being on leave, and obviously a lot of changes happened with Second Platoon while deployed. They moved, one sergeant out. They brought in, I believe, another one in. Some BS happened. He got removed. Then they moved Sergeant Ramos from operations over to Second Platoon, and I remember her just micromanaging everything. Um, and it was everything. It was every aspect of everything. And I lived in the same. Do you remember the rooms on Taji? It was 3-room trailers.
Yeah,
Um, and I remember I lived in the middle, and she lived to the left. Her room was to the left of mine. A soldier, I do not know who this is, and I'm being dead honest. I remember they jammed a rock between the door so she couldn't get out.
wait, Ramos, is it the Hispanic woman that was in supply? Or
That
was it,
no, 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 no.
or is it, all right, okay, I'm thinking of
That
the,
was Ramon.
yeah, okay. Then it is, I'm thinking of the right one. It just popped into my head, Ramos. Continue. Sorry, go ahead.
But they tried locking this woman in her room to prevent any further damage. And I remember dogs out. Uh, um, I then I remember being on leave, and back when I think MySpace was still a thing back then. Um, I get a message from my one of my soldiers I had. Um, and it was, hey, Sergeant Ramos got pregnant. She's not coming back. So they were second platoon sergeant list again. Um, that's when we got Sergeant Littlefield, and he was a good leader.
Then
At the same time,
okay.
a third shit or third squad, a third platoon got Solomon. Because third platoon, they were going through. That was the thing with Moreno was going on.
Just to go back, I was thinking of another female NCO. So,
Oh,
my incident, but
stop
so
giving the
forgive
dog
me
those.
on that. But
Stop giving the dog those.
it's, when I heard about Moreno, what happened, and Brim, I
I
felt
will.
bad for Brim because it felt like at first that shit went down first, and I was like, dude, what the fuck are you doing? How the fuck did that happen? Why would you do that? And then I heard the whole story. I'm like, ah. Like, can we all see him before he leaves?
Mhm.
You
Don't
know,
touch
they're
it,
like,
kid.
no, he's already gone.
Don't touch it.
Submarine, oh, you mean private? You know, like
For
they'll give him a talk for all the shit he gave us about how we were shitty.
That was yeah, and for people that don't know, it takes to get someone from an E7 to an E nothing. It takes, they call it an act of Congress, but it to do something like that. And he pretty much I remember seeing the letter, because remember they had the discipline board. You remember the discipline board outside the arms room? I can't tell you, like, you guys were back and forth. They
Yeah.
posted people's, if you got Article 15s.
Oh, that I do remember. Yes, yes, yes. I do remember that.
Um,
I was thinking like you guys had a board, like a sit down board meeting. But yeah, I remember that.
no, they posted that one, and I remember seeing it was like a 3-star general had to sign off on that.
I don't want to say exactly what I heard happened in case it's wrong, but like there was some. I was like, really? How the fuck do you get away with doing that for God knows how long? You know what I mean? How many years was he doing it? How many other soldiers did he
Right.
fuck over? You know what I mean? And and whenever I had an interaction with him, I never had necessarily a bad interaction. He was always
I don't recall any
respectful. Good.
bad. He was definitely a bit of a character as a leader. Um,
He was never one of mine, but I never had a bad thing to say about him to that point.
so yeah, I mean Sergeant Ramon, the supply NCO. For a little while, I fell under her. Um, she was my section leader when I was doing the arms room as a specialist. Specialist promotable. Let's get it right.
And
Um,
that P means something.
does. Um, I remember I didn't get into it, but she tried telling me something, and I said no. I go, that's not how we do it. Um, for the arms room, because obviously the arms room, you had certain regulations and all that. And I wasn't about to be told, especially by someone who doesn't know how to run an arms room, how to run an arms room. She proceeded me to bring me outside and smoke me in the middle of July in the sun in Iraq. No, it was summer. It was I remember seeing Sergeant Hickey because I remember bear crawling in the volleyball court. And I see Sergeant Hickey come out, and I'm thinking in my head, I go, oh, thank God, some reprieve, right? Because he'll get down to the bottom of it. And all he asked was, I like Sergeant Hickey. I never had no issues with him. But all he asked was, hey, can you at least move him in the shade? It's a little warm.
Bro.
Like, gee, thanks, bud. You never got to ask what happened.
I remember I got moved to the shade. So now I'm not bear crawling in the sand. I am bear crawling on the concrete underneath the awnings on those long buildings.
Which is like you'd rather have the sand at that point.
Then Sergeant Ibram came out. He saw me. Now he, watched for a couple minutes, went back in. Sergeant Ramon's finished the corrective training. Remember, it's corrective training.
Yeah.
And then I'm sitting on a bench, soaked, mad. I light up a cigarette. And then Sergeant Ibram came out. I stand up. He tells me to immediately sit back down. He goes, what the hell is that all about? And I explain everything verbatim, what happened. And he didn't even get her side. He went into supply. All I heard was the door slam, him yelling, and going, you don't got to worry about that anymore. It won't happen again. Now, I'm not saying nothing about Sergeant Ramon being a bad leader, but I will say that she was definitely wrong in what the reasoning why I was getting smoked. And me, as a soldier, I did what I was told as far as the corrective training. I wasn't backing down because I wasn't going to do anything wrong. So I took my smoking because that's what I was told to do. But Ibram stuck up for me that day.
Yeah, I had a similar incident. Yeah, I got out of basic training. We MPs, we all go to Leonardwood. At least we did. I don't know how they did it now.
Still there.
Unfortunately.
Mm-hmm.
But my first duty station after basic was Korea in the 552nd MP company, Busan, South Korea. I enjoyed it there. I had some great friggin' leaders that I saw or I had. Our commander was awesome, Captain Bagaisky at the time. I don't know if he's out or not, but that was 20 some years ago, so I'm sure he's retired by now at the least. But our platoon leader, no, our squad leader left. We got a new squad leader. And I don't mind throwing him under the bus because anybody that I was with would say the same thing. Sergeant Jenny was an ass. Friggin', I'm working on the road with one of the Katusas, which is one of the Korean soldiers that work with us. We stay in the barracks together. We work together. It was friggin' awesome just being able to friggin' talk to them. But we're at gate 1, which on Camp Hialeah is probably about this friggin' big. It's like a mile and a half around. And YB is standing over here. And I sit down I don't think I was down for a minute and a half at that point. Right? Now there's door here, guard desk, and a railing. So you could come in this way and go through that way and vice versa. He comes and looks at the corner of his eye through this window. No more than 2 feet around, maybe. He steps back, and I don't see him at the corner of my eye because I'm facing this way. I hear. He opens the door. He's like, "Get the fuck out of here!" I'm like, "Going train? What is everything okay? What happened?" He's like, "Why the fuck were you sleeping?" I was like, "Sleeping." I was like, "Sorry, I just sat down." He's like, "I saw you fucking sleeping." I was like, "Sorry, I was not sleeping." I was like, "Now, mind you, I'm a fucking E2 talking to a staff sergeant." I was like, and like I wasn't being combative. I was just like, "Sorry, I wasn't sleeping. I don't understand." So eventually we get off shift. It's like 6 o'clock in the morning. He's smoking the shit out of me in the pit. My team leader, Sergeant Williams, he's coming up. He's like, "What is going on?" And I was like, "Not fucking now." He's like, "Excuse the hell out of me. You're smoking my soldier. I want to know why." Right? And YB's just standing there like, culturally and in the Korean military, if somebody senior from you is doing something, you don't say a word at all, ever, regardless if they're wrong or right. So that goes on for at least a solid 45 minutes. In August, in Korea, where it's humid as fuck. Yeah, it had to be like end of summer, beginning of fall. Humid as fuck. And we end up going, he's like, "Go ahead, go upstairs, you're done."
Don't eat all of them. He's
Eat them, eat them. Uncle Reggie says eat all of them. Sergeant Williams knocks on my door. He's like, "What the hell's happening?" And he's like, "What happened?" And I was like, "Darn, like, I don't know." He said I was sleeping. I sat down for like a minute. I was gonna get back up. He said I was. I wasn't. You swear you weren't. And we had this like a 30-minute conversation in the hallway, in the stairwell, and the stairwell was right next to the office. And you go through the door, and then the next door, so you could hear everything that's going on. He goes in there. He's like, "Yes, sorry, Jenny. What the fuck?" He's like, "Oh, he was sleeping." He says he wasn't. He's like, "Well, I saw him." He goes and gets the Katusa, comes out, and he's like, "YB, was Regina sleeping?" He's like, "YB, tell the truth. Tell me right. This is an order. You have to tell me. Was he sleeping or not?" "No, he wasn't sleeping." He's like, "Why the fuck didn't you say anything?" "Because he's a staff sergeant." So he goes back in there. He's like, "Two soldiers are saying he was not sleeping." He's like, "Oh well, no big deal. I got what I wanted out of it." And I all of a sudden you hear screaming and door slamming. Is like, "Regina, go to your room. You have the day off. Shower up, clean up, relax. You have the day off." He's like, "If anybody gives you shit, tell them to come to me." So after it was all said and done, Sergeant Williams ended up coming talking to me. He's like, "Look," he's like, "I want to apologize. You know, I came from, he was garrisoned his entire 4 years at Fort Polk, which Fort Polk is like nothing happens there." He was like, "So when I came here," he was like, "I looked at him as, you know, try to learn and as a mentor." He's like, "I don't know, freaking respect for him." But and I was like, "Dude, I'm a new private." I'm like, "Is this how the army's supposed to be?" I have no fucking idea. Get to Fort Hood, it's like as much problems as Fort Hood has, and it's Fort Hood. It'll always be Fort Hood. We'll always have its freaking problems, and I'll be always pissed off about that. It was like the sun opened up. I was like, "Is this how it's supposed to fucking be?"
No, it was like, oh, just a couple. Like that was one major smoke session that I remember was the one in Iraq. Uh, patrol. I remember doing pranks on patrol to people. Where it was me and another soldier, or was it a DA cop? I forgot. Either one. They fell asleep, and I was driving, so I was like, I gotta wake this motherfucker up. So behind the PXs in the commissary, there's always at least one
There's always one what?
semi truck.
Oh yeah.
So I pulled in front, probably got like 15 feet away, put the car in park. I hit the lights and sirens and jammed on the gas and screamed bloody hell. Um, it woke him up. I fell out of the car laughing. Um, so mind you, we were supposed to be there to protect and serve.
And we're gonna protect and serve the shit out of you.
There was hardly any. Oh, it was protecting, all right. It was my sense of humor. We did these little things, kept us going. Um, the field. I remember when I got shown how to make an MRE bomb.
We had how many wars did we like? I know in the 110, we'll be standing there doing our thing, and all of a sudden, like, oh fuck, it's on.
Oh, I was famous when I was in the 110 for making the MRE bombs. Um, because I made them. I was bombarded. I remember I stuck up the first platoon, bombed them. Didn't really mess with third platoon too much. It was always first.
Every once in a while, we would get one.
I remember I did the CS with the Tabasco sauce.
Yeah, that might have been us then.
That I ran like hell. Um, because I knew there was gonna be like 20, there's gonna be like 30 fucking people pissed off.
Yeah.
You wanna know how much damage a little teeny tiny bottle of Tabasco sauce can do?
And I think I was standing at the beginning of the line of the trucks, and all of a sudden I see smoke, and they're like, "These motherfuckers!" I was like, throw it. Who threw it?" They're like, "We're gonna get those motherfuckers." They're like, "Oh, it's spicy."
Yeah, it didn't take very long for me to master those. So if that was me, awesome. I thought I was kept going after fur. Like Sergeant Weddle was like a horrible influence on me because he's the one who taught me how to do them. Um,
Friggin' Weddle is something else, man. Like I remember the first couple times I saw him, he's walking through the hallway. It looks all pissed. As soon as he heard that I was from Jersey too, he fucking loved me. He's like, finally, another one of me.
another piece of shit. Woo!
Like I would walk in the office with like paperwork or something to hand to, some friend or something. And he's like, Regina, like, what's up, Brett? Well, sorry, what? He was like, he got to a point where I was walking in, he's like, Reggie, Bob. They're like, Sergeant, what? He was like, he would leave them like, shut the fuck up.
I forgot we did give him the nickname Bob.
Back up in the bench.
Because he didn't want to be back there. He didn't want to do all that time. Bob.
And if I remember correctly, and again, it was 20 years at this point at least. Didn't he have a limp like had an injury or something like that? Or
I can't remember.
like a back injury or something like that, that is the reason he was in the office?
He started. I remember he became one of my team. He was my team leader for a little bit in second, and then they did the reshuffling. I remember the field. Now you remember the fields going into the field, right? Training.
Yeah.
staying the night in tents, things like that. I remember you when you mentioned the pit. The pit was used for smoking and or settling differences between one another in a controlled environment matter or training. I mean, and we made one in the field, and for some odd reason, Benson. I don't know if you remember Benson,
Male Benson or female Benson?
male Benson.
Okay.
Female Benson was 411 speed and power hole. Um, Benson wanted to fight me in the pit. Okay. Last few minutes, I choke him out, make him tap, done. Bye. Well, you remember I don't know if you remember Sergeant Spencer.
Yes, I do.
Well, he sent his other soldier, who was Machado.
No.
And Machado was an angry, angry little man.
He's an angry elf.
I ramped him up pretty quick, made him tap. And now I took out Sergeant Spencer's entire team. So now he steps up. Like, and me and Sergeant Spencer, he was my first squad leader. I've I've been over to his house, right? I've met his daughter. I've met his wife. Like, I know the person outside of the army. And this guy he's like, I gotta teach you a lesson. And we're rolling around, and he gets me in the guard. So the guard, the position of the guard. I'm on my back, and all I could do is I tried to fight. I knew he had a bad ankle.
Grab the ankle.
I tried to make him roll his ankle, and he rolled his ankle, and that's what made him tap. And I just took what he told me. If you ain't cheating, you ain't trying.
Yeah. Fly, cheat, steal. Words of Eddie
Um,
Guerrero. The late
and
great
so
Eddie Guerrero.
then I went through three people in a row, beat them all, and now I'm a little tired. And this is where we're like, let's see if we can get the women to fight. Yay! And
Hey, take it easy, guys.
um, we asked Reed to try to fight Walker.
I got money on Walker.
Walker was not about that life. I remember she declined, like, no, no, no. And so then you go back to Reed and like, who do you want to fight? And she goes,
Hey,
fuck it, Monaco.
there's probably
Um,
other reasons why she wanted to fight.
Between all three guys and me fighting her, she was fighting with something to prove. Obviously it bolted too much when it came to the end. But you're supposed to be in your room, Caden. What?
It's not really my fault because she figure out where she put the kid in the future.
I understand, and that's
Why is she me outside if he's in a future?
because he can be outside in the wheelchair. That's discrimination if you don't let someone out in a wheelchair.
Can't even do that.
Yeah, you can. It's fine. Back to your room.
You know?
Don't worry. It's coming for you. Oh. And I remember one of the first things, like, when we were tussling around, um, I had her, like, I don't know, I wound up slamming her on the ground. But in the time, she grabbed my shirt to try to slow down her fall and ripped my shirt. You know how valuable shirts are in the field.
Yeah, and how quality of a shirt those brown shirts are.
Yeah. Um, I wound up making her finally tap by putting my forearm on her throat and just putting my weight on my forearm. But and then, so now this is um this. I think I'm done. I'm 4-0. I'm exhausted. It's the field. I'm sweaty. I have a ripped shirt. Doesn't Sergeant Weddle challenge me now? And he goes, now this is before I knew what type of training he had. Now, mind you, he's my team leader. I don't know his background. And he goes, I'll fight you, Monaco. And hell, I'll fight you on my knees. So now I go in all cocky. Whoops.
Then going copy.
That didn't stop him. So
Or did he have like,
he wound up beating me. And then he comes over. And now I'm on the ground exhausted. And he throws my camel back at me and says, drink water. That's it.
was it like jujitsu or something, or
What's that?
did he know jujitsu or?
Yeah, he was like an instructor. And not saying nothing. There should be like a disclaimer. You know?
He's like, I thought
Oh.
you killed you, fucker.
No, because he knew exactly what he was gonna do. He went down on his knees, and I'm like, all right, cool. So I go to lunge, and I'm already off balance. He knew what he was doing. He already had the first three moves. Already knew what I was. He knew what I was gonna do, and he knew what he was gonna do. Um, yeah. Um, I remember wrestling Roscoe in the pit.
He was another one. Like I wanted to take him. If they did a pit session, he was going to be somebody I was going to call out.
Like we looked at each other, like they just like people called our names out. We looked at each other. And he's like, I'm like, oh, I'm gonna fuck you up. Like if you're gonna go in here, like you might get something. He tried to get me in an arm bar. I got out of that pretty quick. Um, this is the same guy. I remember he was telling all disobeying lawful orders in the army. Now, mind you, folks that watch this, all 8 of you, um, if you're given a lawful order in the military, and as long as it doesn't interfere, essentially with your safety or life or whatnot, you have to abide by it, regardless of personal effects or not. This guy had a motorcycle, was told not to ride said motorcycle, thought it's my motorcycle, you can't tell me that I can't ride it. Goes out riding, gets caught, gets an Article 15 for disobeying a lawful order. They made an example out of him, is what they did.
Yeah.
But that was the kind of thing he was like. That's what needed to be done, though. And I remember watching because at that point I was an NCO. And I had to watch him for extra duty, and I was not like I was making him break dirt because there was no grass around the 411. There was dirt.
If there was grass, it was brown.
He was raking dirt just for something to do.
And you know what? I bet you he didn't ride his motorcycle again after that.
No, they asked him for the key, and I remember him refusing, like giving up the key or whatnot. He's like, "Well, it's mine. You can't tell me that I can't ride it." Oh no, the army they can, and they did, and they will.
And then they made an example out of you.
So, I known you had some pretty good teammates in your career. Um, two outstanding soldiers that you've been very fortunate serving in combat with. One of your favorites is Cook.
That boy ain't right. Yeah. And, you know, at least okay, in like a situation like Roscoe with his motorcycle. In any situation, would I agree with his sentiment of it's my motorcycle, you can't tell me not to ride it, you know. But
I'm
if the military is telling you not to, at least temporarily, just be like, okay, I'm not gonna ride it. All right. Um Cook, there was no rhyme or reason to his stupidity.
no.
Um, like everybody was from the time he got there. He must have had, in the time he got there to the time we deployed, the less than a year. He had like 7 team leaders.
You're talking about Cook now.
Yes, he had like 7 team leaders, and that whether it was Carnahan, Cabaday, um, Hernandez, which Hernandez had a hard enough getting through to the best soldiers, let alone Cook. And then, and headquarters and everything like that. Nobody could get through to his head. His big ass, thick concrete head. And he would cause issues, like issues. Every team he was in, every truck he got into, every soldier he interacted with, there was an issue. Eventually, he came to my team, first platoon, first squad, Alpha team. He replaced Frenchie as my
Place who?
Frenchie. Correct. So I love that
So you were upset about losing
Frenchie. And I eventually apologized to Sergeant Bowie for that because the way I acted. I was upset. I was pissed. I apologized to him. I was like, Sergeant Bowie, I want to apologize for the way I acted. It was unprofessional and not right. He's like, I get it. I was upset too. And he was like, but since you're the senior soldier in the team and I'm your guys' squad leader, not just team leader, I can't be around all the time. So he's like, I want to lean on you to help train Cook, help lead Cook, teach Cook, because he does need guidance. And he's like, this is a test for you because he's like, off the record, he was like, I know there's some shitty shit that happened, but he's like, I know you know what you're doing, and I would personally put that in your file that you learned how to do this. Like Roger Sarn, I appreciate it. Thank you for the vote of confidence. It got to a point where he was like, "Stop your bickering." I was like, "Bickering, Sarn? Cook. We need to do this. We need to be here. Where are you? What? I'm your roommate. Like I had to be his roommate to get him out of bed to get to the truck to go on mission. There were times where we would get to the truck, all our gear was there. I'm mounted the 50 cal, the 240, whatever we're pulling that day. And next thing you know, he's gone. Now I was able to get the 50 cal up from the arms room to the truck, up, ready to go in less than 5 minutes. Like, it's space timing, boom, we're good. Ammo's up there, everything's set, everything's ready to go. And I'm like, radios aren't hooked up. I was like, where the fuck is Cook? And I was like, Sergeant Carnahan, have you seen Cook? I haven't. Has anybody seen Cook? He's coming back from the freaking DFAC, which is at least a 10-minute walk away, with a plate of food stuffing his face with fucking hash browns. Like, bro, we got to get the truck up. He's like, oh, my blood sugar was low. And I was like, dude, we have to get this friggin' radio up, and we have to get the truck ready, ready for mission. You can't just be walking away before we're done. It's like we get our trucks up and good to go before we go get food. Once we get that done, when we're good to go, we walk over to the DFAC, grab a plate, and come back. he is arguing and arguing, and Sean Carnahan was like, "Cook, shut the fuck up, do your fucking job." And he's like, he starts back. Cabadet, Cook's back hopping in time. Cabadet comes over, grabs his plate of food, throws it in the fucking trash. Get to fucking work. Storm Bowie is coming from the office to talk, and he points at both of us. He's like, "Y'all need to stop bickering. You stop friggin' arguing. Get to friggin' work, both of you." And Sergeant Carnahan and Cabaret was like, "Sergeant, it's not Reggie's fault. It's all 100% Cook. Been like this for weeks now." We come back from mission. Sergeant Bowie's like, "Both of you, go change into PTs. Meet you by my room."
Son of a bitch. Here you go.
And he goes on. And he's like, "I can't keep having this. You guys are friggin', acting like children." I was like, anymore, you guys are gonna get friggin' Article 15, and I was like, when he stops, I'm like, "Sergeant, permission to speak freely." He's like, "By all means, Reg." I was like, "I'm fucking done." And where I parade dress, I was like, "You know what? I'm fucking done. I'll go full New York, New Jersey, Italian kid. I'm talking with my hands, pointing, waving. I was like, I'm done. I can't keep doing this. You asked me to help friggin' step up. I'm trying." He fights everybody at the slightest inconvenience. You knew this when he came here. Neither of us wanted him here. Like, I'm going for blood. I was like, the other day he admitted to friggin' his family was inbred. Are we fucking surprised?
No.
Like I was like, "Sergeant, this is getting to a point where it is not safe for any of us." How many times have you got into the truck where I've had to set up the radio?
Yeah, because
I
mind you,
turn
you're
my
the
back
gunner.
and
You're
I'm
the
the guy.
gunner.
I had to set up the whole truck. The next thing you know, the fucking radio is disconnected. Why? It's not because of me. I did the radio test. You can ask everybody in this squad, they heard my voice.
Well, I remember being in a team, like even when I had my own team, because you remember me as a team leader, I would still help set up the radios with my driver, help set up the gun with my gunner, depending on what it was. Like the 50, like if there was the 240, I would hand him the ammo, right? The 240 is light enough. You should be able to, monster that thing up. 50 cal, people that don't know, it's two parts. You got the main, you got the receiver, and you got the barrel, right, Reggie?
Yeah,
And
the ammo
we won't,
itself is like 50 pounds.
and we don't want to talk about the Mark 19. Um,
2-person lift.
uh-huh.
2-person lift.
Yeah,
I'm
right.
okay with it on my shoulder.
Like, hey, you fired a warning. That was supposed to be a warning shot. It was. It was with a Mark 19. Whatever. Potato, potato.
They got the warning, did they not?
Dog's upstairs. Dixie up there with you? No. Okay, no, upstairs. Come on. Come on. Sorry, the one of my HVAC guy came to finish the Nacho, over here.
You're good.
Thank you. Keep him in there. No, just keep your door closed. Um, but yeah. So other than that, I mean, it was fun. I'm gonna have to cut this a little short because I got to talk with him.
Okay.
We're gonna have to do a part. We're gonna do a part three.
That's right.
Like that. Well, this is gonna be like a 6-parter. Like we can go
Yeah, it's
on and
all
on and
cool.
on. And we even got to the main topic of the difference. We just been talking about the shenanigans.
Yeah. And there's gonna be plenty of them.
Ugh. Who do you? Hey, Farva. Huh? What's all that? What's that restaurant that you like going to with all the goofy shit on the wall
And the mozzarella stick.
and the mozzarella sticks?
Oh, you mean shenanigans?
Oh, put those
Our,
away.
our shenanigans are cheeky and fun. His are sad and tragic, which doesn't really make them shenanigans at all, bro.
Makes them into shenanigans. Does it really make them shenanigans? All right, till next time, Reg.
Yeah.
Hey, if you're available on the weekends too, if you're not working or whatnot, definitely hit me up.
All right, definitely. You know, is now with I'll definitely do that. I'll reach out to you and hopefully we can get a more longer than 45 minutes to an hour. And
Right.
you know, especially with during the week everything's going crazy. So but we'll figure something out.
Oh, for sure. Till next time.
Till next time.
Deuces.
Deucin'.